I'm Mike Hallmark with Hellwig Suspension Products. We are going to go over our silent support system with you today. This is a newly launched system that we're offering of urethane bushings that isolate any metal-to-metal contact with our helper spring components and your factory spring. First bushing we have is our traditional, what we call our donut style bushing. It's very simple. This mounts on top of the factory spring. Our spring goes over the top, and that's what isolates it. Next, we have our U-bolt bushing. This simply goes between the U-bolt itself that slides in, and our helper spring goes underneath. Next, we have our crossbar bushing, or what we like to call our doghouse bushing. That simply just slides right over the crossbar itself and goes in place. And then finally, we have our block or brick bushing. You'll notice some sides are flat, some sides are concave. That is to allow for best fitment on the different applications. For this, you'll see the holes here. The U-bolt simply slides in there. It has different cutouts on sides, so that way we can use it for the kit necessary. Okay, so we have our block style or brick style silent support system bushing in place. In this configuration, there's two different settings for it. So in the vertical configuration that it's set up here, you will have more spring load, more support. If you don't need as much support, you can actually flip this horizontally and it'll give you less spring rate, so less support, level load capacity. So that's how we get the adjustment here. You'll notice that when you're tightening this down, you're going to torque it to the specs and the instructions, but as it's tightened down, there's no chance of an air gap between our U-bolt and the factory spring, so you won't get any noise. So there is no need for an upper silencing bushing. For this specific kit, we use this block. Once everything's torqued down, there is no chance for air gap. There we have a silent support system. Okay, for our donut style silent support system bushings, you simply take the supplied U-bolt with the donut bushing, slide the U-bolt into the holes, leaving a little bit of room for our helper spring. That then slides right on top of our helper spring. Once you have the U-bolt on our helper spring and the donut bushing in place, you put the crossbar on the bottom, a washer on each side, and run your initial nuts down to the proper tension or preload to get the right height desired. It might take you a couple tries to get the adjustment proper for the weight that you're carrying. One key note that you want to remember is with the silent support bushings, you want to make sure that there is no air gap between our helper spring and the bushing or the factory spring and the bushing. That's what's going to ensure that silent ride. Okay, so to install our flat bar bushing, very simple. You take our flat bar bushing, or we also call our doghouse bushing, slide the bushing over the bar, set it off to the side for now. Take our U-bolt with our U-bolt bushing, slide it on. That's what's going to isolate between the U-bolt and the Hellwig Helper Spring. Okay, this is our full-length helper spring of our silent support system that utilizes the U-bolt bushing and our flat bar bushing, or what we call our doghouse bushing. Similar to all of our helper springs, you are going to mount the U-bolt on top of the helper spring, drop it down, and use a flat stock with a flat bar to compress the helper spring on the factory spring. The purpose of the silent support bushings is to eliminate metal-to-metal contact on the compression and rebound of the spring itself. What this does is it ensures a nice, quiet operation throughout the life of the vehicle. Silent support system uses our urethane bushing technology to isolate steel components from making noise while going down the road.